Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Didn't know the camera would start so soon. So we had a long service today. It didn't feel long though. It sure. I was worried it was too quick. That time it went on about 2 hours. The service went on for 2 hours and it only felt like a 45-minute service. I was really enjoying it. Time flies fast when you're having fun, they say. It's true. No, there was no, what? Let me do one of those documentary type things. Time flies fast when you're having fun, they say. But no example would ever be more true than that day in Bios Cosmos Church. That sunny day where Pastor Sinclair was leading his church service for 2 hours and it only felt like 45 minutes. It wasn't a long one. If it was legally, but physically it wasn't. Because it sure did go on for a while. I was wondering where the sun went. And then was I up there enjoying stuff, and I sure did come out learning a lot though. Man, did I learn a lot. I feel refreshed. It feel like a new day. That sure was an excellent church service. The church did its job today. You see, we all feel that just because you're around the church, you're running the church, or you're in the church, you're supposed to be well and happy all the time. But how many of you know the worst moments of your life really are destined to be the moments prior to church service? Because that's when you've gone the longest without it. The church is supposed to revive you. But if you're so perfect, what's there to revive? How many of you know that there are no churches in heaven? Because you don't need it. You don't need them in heaven. Everybody's perfect. The church is supposed to do its job. We're supposed to do our job. And nothing was so perfect then when I had to use the churching system today and felt good about using it. Nothing ever felt more perfect today. You know what? I'm going to share with you something I'd like to change in the church culture. And that's our approach of how we're handling people that's going through grief, how we're handling people. It's not really the grief that's upset, how we're handling people that's making, let me get to it, mistakes. The room doesn't echo, so therefore it won't boom like I want it to. But still, let me change how we're handling people who's making mistakes. How many of you has ever been yelled at by a Bios Baptist church employee? How many of you has ever been scolded in public by a Bios Baptist church employee? Raise your hands. I can't see your hands, but raise them. Think about it. It's not necessarily up until today. It's the norm, right? You do something wrong, we yell at you. And the thing is, we mean well. We mean well. But this is not the way for you to go. We panic because we see you getting ready to. It's like you're jumping. It's like you're driving straight off the cliff. It's like no, 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 don't go there. Turn this way. Turn this way. Don't go there. But it's like that isn't helping. That's just gonna make you. I don't know what to do, and just go even faster off the cliff. That's just gonna make you upset with us, or so busy trying to get back at us. Now you turn around in an attempt to get back at us, that instead of trying to go straight, now you end up turning right, and now you fear off the other cliff that's at the other side of the road. So now, who did we help? Did we help you, or did we hurt you? Or did we hurt you and then hurt ourselves in the process? We got to think about that. Sometimes we could take ourselves off the cliff with you. But if we're strong enough, only you go off the cliff. And that's what usually happens because our training indicates don't go with them. If they don't want to do the right thing, leave them and let the devil get them. That's what we always say. That's the most common teaching we teach to staff members. Leave them and let the devil get them if they don't want to listen. So we teach that most common. You don't hear this much because we don't have as much staff members. So I don't have to repeat it over and over again anymore. But it's a very common thing we say to our staff. Leave them and let the devil take them if they don't want to do the right thing. Because see, why does he exist? Why isn't he locked away in some prison? It's so that they can go over there to him and see that they're not going to like him. They'll give money, and then the devil will give you money and then decide that, wait, I want the money back. It's not going to take the money back. He's going to put money in your bank account. And then, so you have $500 in your bank account. He's going to put $100 in there. And then guess what? Here's what he's going to do. Not only is he going to, matter of fact, no, let me use a better example. The devil would put money in, say you have a dresser drawer where you keep money in. Say you have a wallet where you keep money in. You leave a wallet on the table with, say, $10 in there. That's the best one. He'll put $5 in there. Now you have $15 to make you feel that he's someone you can trust. Gives you $15, you put it in there. Now, when he's ready, that to lure you closer to him now to where he can take the $15 that you now have out of the wallet. He's not going to take back the $5 he gave you. He's going to take, this is how the devil makes money, by giving you $5 and then take the $5 that he gave you plus your hard-earned $10, and then you take your, and then he won't even just take the money, he'll take your wallet. So he can't even just steal your money. He has to steal the wallet that it was in. Then he couldn't even satisfy with the wallet. He's going to look around and say, this is a nice table. And then he steal the table too. And walk out the door. And you see the devil walking out the room with the table in his hand. So what was that? So now you look, he has the wallet, he has your $15, 5 of which is his because he gave it to you. He has your wallet that you bought, and then he has your table that you bought. So now he not only stole your money, he stole your wallet, and then he stole your table. So he doesn't just steal Man, he doesn't just steal, he doesn't just give you and take back. He steals stuff that he didn't even, he just steals. Literally just steals, and steal again. He'll steal and then steal again. And then you want to tell me how he lived this, how I lived it before? Someone gave, when I was in school, this was many years ago, I was still in high school, still in school. Someone gave me a notebook. A few months later, that same kid took all my books, threw it in the toilet. And guess what? All my books were in a trapper keeper. Trapper keeper in the toilet. So not only did he damage the book he gave me, he damaged all of my books. Not to mention the trapper keeper that I bought. Not to mention all the books that I bought. And the trapper keeper that I used to carry all of the books that I bought. And the book that he gave me. So you see, it's a real life thing. You can't trust the people that have the devil in them. While a Christian now, and you can tell you have discernment of spirit if you have the Holy Spirit. Discernment of spirit will allow you to decide. A Christian isn't going to give you something and have something in it for them. Isn't going to say later on I could get back $15 if I give him $5 on the top of that 10. We have to change the culture around here. See, these kind of teachings is what we have to do. They may be long, they may be hard, they may be grueling, they may be boring, but we have to teach. It's a teaching church. This is what we have to do. You see, in classroom, in the morning classroom honors, we have to go in depth to the lesson to figure things out and to figure out how to do these things. We have to go in depth. We have to draw diagrams on the board now. We cannot, no longer can we just, yeah, I like the Christian orbit where we had the scriptures and the explanations, but no longer can we play simple games. We have to go in depth explanation now. We cannot play games anymore. We cannot dilly-dally around with our simplicity on the board now. We have to go deep with the word of God and the word of truth because there's man fighting everything we do. We have to show that bio stands out. We're in a race this year. How can we get Bios Baptist Church to stand out? We're gonna have to do some hard, long nights. I'm gonna have to bounce ideas off of you, the public. But if that's what it takes for me to make Bios stand out, I will have to do that. Because it's gonna be a grueling task. And you're the one that's supposed to be giving tithe and offering. But you're not doing it, so I'm going to have to get a second job in order to keep the doors of this church open. We want to start our own Bible project here. That's what we want to do. We want to start a separate Bible project. And we want to be fully able to keep the doors of the church running and open. It's estimated that if we don't get a building by next year, it's going to take up to 60 staff members worldwide to run this church. And it's not going to be possible as an online church to get that many people. Either one is either we get the 60 people or the church or BIOS closes. I can't even get the 10 people back. And I'm not talking about 60 kids. And by kids, I mean people under the age of 15. I'm talking about 60 well-versed people who know the word of God, who is experienced in their field. Because see, the church is going to grow. So by then we'll have 60 positions to fill. The church is growing out of control. And we can't stop the growth. So the church is going to grow. And if that doesn't happen, it's going to explode. And then we'll have to close, because what happens when there's an explode? There's a miscarriage. So right now, this is an ectopic pregnancy. And if we do not get this church into a building, which is back where it belongs, into a building, it's going to continue to be an ectopic pregnancy until it turns into a miscarriage. So therefore, we need to be able to do that. Because right now, this church is growing in the fallopian tube. And I'm not being nasty. I'm just telling you in terms that you understand. I don't relate much to the world. I relate to medicine. I can relate to the Bible, but I can't really relate to the world because I don't go out there much. All I can tell you is get people in here. Get the kids in here. They'll bring their parents. Kids love to drop their parents off at church. They come in, they spend a few months, then they get their parents in, and then they leave. So therefore, get the kids in. And guess what? When the kids come in, one kid, two parents. So get the kids in. And then the parents don't really require much. All we got to do is give them a class or give them a few classes, and then they'll be perfectly happy. The kids, they're a lot of work to care for and maintain. It's a big responsibility to run the youth department. Too much for me to do and then run the rest of the church. I'm going to have to pick one eventually. And you know what I'm choosing. I want to make sure that that the front end department is running. And that will be the department where that gets the parents into the church. Because we understand how this works. And I've seen it. We took a survey last year. 90% of the time when an adult joins BIOS Kósmos Church, it was only because the kids found it. Meaning that if the kids were never here, the adults would have never came. So therefore, it's all too important to get the kids here. For some reason, if we can make church interesting enough to get, because for some reason, parents stop bringing their kids to church nowadays. I don't know why in the world they would stop. I mean, they need to. If we can get church so interesting that kids want to come by themselves, then parents would realize how important church is and bring them. Because now they're not interested in sitting down in a room and learning like they do in school anymore. They just want to come. But to see, what we have to take a look at is our culture. We have to take a look at our culture. How are we treating people who are not in the greatest of days? Stop treating people like they're robots. Stop treating people like they're cyborgs. Because you see, you would like it. And then here's the best part. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what I'd like to see happen. The church, we want to focus on prayer this year. We're going to focus on prayer. So if somebody comes in and they're having a bad day or they've done something wrong in the middle of service, you see how I put someone out today? Don't ever do that. I'm not going to ever do that again. You don't want to ever see that. What we're going to do is we are going to practice praying with people, pulling people to the side. We have to call people to meetings. But we're not going to put people out of church unless they've done a grievous act. Now, of course, this meeting is private, so we can only mention one thing: possession of an unholy symbol. That the NCWO Act has made guidelines very clear on how to punish that act. But the maximum any sentence can be is not 1 day over 30 days. And then it states that we are not allowed to expel anybody from church for any act, not even murder. So that's the second worst penalty. That's penalty A2. A1 is the worst penalty. A2 is the second worst penalty. A1 is class A penalty. That's the worst. That's dishonor. That's what we call, that's grounds for excommission. But we outruled excommissions. We don't excommit anymore. So excommissions are now prohibited. So we prohibit excommissions. So excommissions are now prohibited under the NCWO Act. But now here's a provide. But now here is a loophole for the excommission policy. We can only excommit. There is a loophole for the excommission policy. We can only excommit for basically one or two reasons. If God himself feels if it is necessary. So that's basically, well, if anybody gets a dream divine dream stating that we're supposed to excommit the person. So only God has the right to kick people out of the church. So only God can excommit people. And then take a look at this. The second part of the excommission policy, other than excommission is not a human right anymore. So now no longer can a human excommunicate anybody from the church, but only God. Is the only time a human can excommunicate anybody is if we is if there is any form of Western patriotism. This is what it says on the scroll, quite literally, in the church. So this is literally treason. Treason, yes. So we can excommunicate for treason. So this is a debatable one because treason describes showing patriotism to outcasts of the motherland. Again, motherland, the definition of the motherland has been updated under the NCWO Act. According to the Name Change Act, let me talk about Name Change Act. Name Change Act says the word the denomination of the church Baptist shall be removed and formed of its own cosmos. So now we know that's the Name Change Act. So it didn't say we're changing the name, it just says that we have our own denomination. So we're not technically non-denominational. It just we are our own denomination. So Cosmos is not a denomination. We're not non-denominational. Bios Cosmos Church is a denomination. So this is a denomination with one church. We're separate. We're just independent. So we're independent Christians. We're separate from the rest of everybody else. Bios Cosmos Church is designing its own Christian flag, but yeah, that's what it is doing. But yeah, let's take a look at this though. The motherland. The motherland is Bios Cosmos Church. We just spoke about that. But outcasts of the motherland. The outcast is anybody who is not the kingdom of heaven that wants to impose authority over any church. So this is and to shorten this, anybody who wants to impose authority over churches that is not the kingdom of heaven. So they are outcasts of the motherland. And anybody who honors them they too will be, now this is not written in the law, but they have committed treason. Now what does it mean to have committed? This is the only way you can commit treason against Bios Baptist Church, or is it? No. Another way to commit treason is by destroying a symbol of Bios Baptist Church. Now, a symbol of Bios Baptist Church can include the logo, the flags, or anything that has the mark of Bios Baptist Church on it. So the mark of Bios Baptist Church would be our seal, the roaring lion, the three crosses, my picture, the pastor's picture. So anything that has, or any other employee's picture that has not been fired, because when employees do get fired, we do burn their ID tags as a symbol of fired, because FIRE, stop it, and then we put on the D. So it's fired. That's how we fire people. We burn their tags in the grill. So their badges in the grill. So anybody who anybody who honors any of these outside of the church will be outcasts of the motherland. The motherland is Bios Cosmos Church. But most importantly, would have committed treason. Now, treason and any form of it is the only is the second way for excommission. Now, how do you get excommitted for treason when there is no legal process for treason? Usually, when somebody has committed treason, treason is not really grounds, it's not biblical grounds for excommission. It's not. God will not send a dream, and God oftentimes will not approve the excommission. But because of lawful reasons, and because treason is taken so seriously, the excommission will be done quietly and quickly, but there will be a fair hearing and a public trial in place. Now, think about that for a few minutes. So uh, I am very pleased at the progress we've made. I just checked on the classroom. Everything is well stocked and ready to go tomorrow. I'm tired. So the Bibles, every room is supposed to have a Bible. Classroom, and then the pre-youth room. So we're going to go back and reinforce our time limits on our videos. So let's get down to business here. Excuse me. Okay, let's get started. So in the preview, let's talk about the procedure. This is both for beginners and should we start doing story time? So what I'm gonna do is I'm reinstating the Neon's Creed. You have to do the pledge to the Bible, the so we have four things. We have the Neon's Creed, we have the pledge to the Bible, we have the Neon's Creed, we have the Apostle Creed, we have the pledge to the Bible, we have the pledge to the Christian flag, and we have the pledge to the Bios Cosmos Church. So we have five things. Two of which where if you do one, you have to do the other. Because the creeds can't be done alone. But you have to do a creed. Let's just say that. So the creeds are mandatory. So you must do a creed and then one of the pledges. This way, no matter what, you learn the creeds and then you learn the pledge. Then you learn the three pledges because they're very important. Now, another thing I want to enforce is the ABC memory. We're gonna have ABC memory. I don't know where mine is, but I think the ABC memory, we're going to start doing it in all classes. I think we're going to choose. Now, how can we get it to where we can at least cycle through all of them in a month for all the youth classes? We need to divide it equally so we can get all of them for a youth class. But we need to divide it so we can have content holders. Hold on a second. So let's go. You don't have that here. But yeah, all classes that carry under the age of so all classes that carry under the age of that carry kids age is gonna get ABC memory. And we need it so that we can cycle through in a month. So I think, yeah. And it's not in here. Probably not that these is not on the wall. Because I know I have it. So you'll know about these never again. Even never again. I'm gonna do never again too. I'm gonna put the never again for the adult curriculum. Not the adult. The adult will have anything that we pre young adult. Youth and young adult, but they have to remember I was never not remember everything is on the movie. What you want to do with my ABC memory? Oh, come on. At least I know I have it. So I'm going to have to take it down because I need copies. Get it down right there. He's almighty. Yeah. So ABC memory verses. So yes, you have to learn all of these. So all 26 verses have to be learned by all classes. All classes gonna have to learn that and the never again. So yeah, so the pledge to the Bible and the trust, we could read that every once in a while. But the Neon's Creed and the Apostle, so we have to do that. So how is it going to work? So all classes have to do. So all classes have to do the ABC memory. Youth and young adult have to do never again. So if you're in the youth class, it doesn't matter where you are in church, you're going to get the creed, a creed and a pledge. So, yeah, because there are 3 pledges and 2 creeds. So you have to read the creed and the pledge. Next time you read the other creed and then the other pledge. So yeah. So you read a creed and a pledge. And then afterwards, but first you always pray. So it's good evening, Bios Baptist Church. Then you introduce a lesson. Today's lesson will be about this, but first we will pray. After you pray, keep the prayer short because the opening prayer is supposed to be short. Then you're going to have a creed and a pledge. After you have a creed and a pledge, Then you're going to do, remember, how many you have? 4 weeks in a month. Then you're going to have each class airs 3 times. So that's about 12 times, 12 of those you'll get to read. So probably do 2. Yeah, do 2. And then if you get time at the end of class, 1 more. Oh no, just do 2. Do 2. Because remember, on Saturdays you have to do it too for the corresponding class. So definitely do 2. And then Christian Youth Fellowship, we do 2. Because that's another time where youth meets. So do 2 for each class. So you have to do 2 ABC memory verses. And then never again. How many never again are there? So now you have to do 1 never again. So 2 ABC memory verses and 1 never again. And remember, the memory verse is just going to be for that you have to remember it. So you're going to do 1 at the beginning of class and 1 at the end of class. So these are not just to throw at them. These are for them to remember. These are not something, okay, all I've seen I come short of the glory of God and Romans 3:23. That's it. Okay. So these we're upping it to 2 this year. So remember, every month, and then we're gonna cycle back next month. As a matter of fact, for all youth classes, it doesn't matter. Young adults is gonna be in it too. I know it's an adult department class, but I want them in on it too. So now, actually, no, they got their own memory verses. Excuse me. So yeah, they got their own memory verses. So the young adult department class, they got their own memory verses. They got, never again will I confess I can't, for I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. And then that verse. So that's how we're gonna do the young adults. And the adult department, they don't have memory verses because their curriculum is more, it's more focused on the lesson. So we don't got to, they if anything, they probably already know these memory verses, these basic verses, because we've been teaching it to them since back then. Even though the church haven't been open that long, but hey, we're just gonna go at it like that. Now, if we're just gonna watch it and see how things run, if we add it in, we add it in, but we're just gonna see. Now, we see we don't need memory verses. So that's how many things they have to do. The youth will have 5 things to do prior to starting. 6, because you got to pray. While pre-youth is only going to have 5, and young adults only going to have 5. The youth is going to have 6. So therefore, after and prior to ending, 1. Everybody will have that one thing, except for the young adults. They just got to just end. So yeah, I like that. So yeah, that's how we can structure our curriculum, make it more based on things. And now in the God's Book of Life office, where we do everything there, because remember, God's Book of Life is basic. So we don't choose, but what we're going to do is we're going to do everything. So in God's book of life, we're going to do, we are going to do everything because the actual lesson doesn't take that long. So we are going to do all the pledges, both creeds, and the never again, and the ABC, one never again and one memory verse. So remember, if you are in the God's Book of Life class, you have 2 memory verses still. If you are in the youth class, you have 3. So here's where the kerfuffle is. We do not want to put all the expectation on you to have to remember 3 memory verses, because that's a lot, to be honest with you. 3. So what we're going to do is kind of switch it out every month. We're not going to do never again for youth this month, but I'd like to get it in there, get them used to it. So we're going to do God ABC memory this month, never again next month. So we're just going to switch it around. So every month we just do something different. Never again this month, ABC memory this month, never again next month. And then the pre-youth juniors would do the ABC memory. And then we could probably get them started on the never again at the end of the church year. At the end of the church year, we're just going to have them straight never again. At the end of the church year, the pre-youth juniors can do never again, because those verses are a little harder to remember. Because remember, the ABC memory are more children's verses, but the never again are more for geared towards young adults, according to our curriculum standings. So therefore, we will kind of turn around these things. One day we will create one for young adults too. I mean, for older adults too. But, well, I did create these. Sister Montague did. She doesn't work here. She used to work for another church, but she doesn't work here. But yeah, I used to create. I mean, I will create one. But yeah, I did feel that these are best, because if I can get some Bible verse into you, then that's just a good idea. And to think this church was going to start out as me just reading the Bible to you, and now I'm in a fancy office with a fridge, microwave, lamp, and 2 big desks, and preaching the word of God to the masses. I didn't know I was going to get this big. It doesn't feel big at all times though. And conspiring to get even bigger. Yeah. And to think I started out in basically no man's land, you know? Look how big I got. Oh, good evening. Oh, hi, Sister Montague. Oh, speaking of her, oh, I got people on here. It's Sister Montague. Oh, let me put them on hold for just a second. So as this meeting draws to a close, I'm just going to say tomorrow, 9 a.m. classroom. I want to see everybody here bright and early at 8 o'clock, no, 7 o'clock, so that we can plan the lesson for classroom. Good job on getting New Year's transition over with. New Year's transition is now finished. We need to finish new members orientation. This way we can get everything back on track. After new members orientation has been finished, then we can now get our class pre-youth started. Remember, do a creed, do a pledge, do 2 ABC memory verses, and then do a never again. Always book the room prior to doing the lessons or the same day as, and then always remember to fill out the lesson plan template and turn it in with the room booking, no matter what. If you do not need something on a template, if you do not need something on the lesson plan template, like say for example, the adult department classes do not require memory verses, please write not applicable because of, please write NA, because just write NA, just write not applicable, doesn't apply. Doesn't apply. So just write anything like that. So you just have to have those filled out. It is very important. We will have those lesson plan templates passed around. We do not have the ink stamp yet for Bios Cosmos Church, so you will have to continue to sign with your fingerprints. Those lesson plan templates are needed for classroom and for core classes. They're not needed for Bible study. They're not needed for Sunday service. But they are, however, needed for some specialty classes, and they are needed for, they are not needed for God's Book of Life. So, thank you. That's all. Meeting adjourned.